everybody, and welcome to another great episode of the Bitrate podcast. I'm Chris, your host, and today we've got an amazing show for you lined up talking about some of the week's most newsworthy items in gaming. We are also talking about how I beat Overwatch for the first time, the resurgence of Destiny 2, and a little game that a lot of people have been having fun with called Wreckfest. So stay tuned for that. And as always, I've got Jeremy and Joey here, guys.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
You may notice I'm freshly shaved.
Freshly shaved. Very nice.
Well, not so fresh, but fresh enough.
Well, you know what I mean. Joe, how are you doing?
Me? I thought you said, so how you doing? I'm doing good. I'm not feeling great, but we're good to go.
Close enough. All right.
The head bob. I'm doing great.
So today, instead of jumping into games, we've got a little bit of news to share. Unfortunately, at the top here, we've got to give a little bit of our condolences to the friends and family of Byron Bernstein, also known as Reckful, who passed away just recently. He was he was a tremendous Twitch streamer, had almost 1 million followers. Players across WoW have held candlelight vigils inside of Stormwind. And basically our condolences go out to friends and family. It's always sad to see.
Yes.
Also in news for the week, this week has been about a week since Dr. Disrespect has gone missing from Twitch. What do you guys...
Missing in action.
He's been MIA.
Yeah. His last stream were odd.
Yeah, so there's been some real cryptic stuff surrounding it, right? I mean, he kind of disappeared. It took a few days before we got word from anyone, but I mean, Twitch really didn't say what his ban was for, if he was banned. They didn't really say anything. They just pointed to TOS. And then we got word from both Doc and his wife, both stating that they really don't know the exact reason for the ban or what's happening. So everybody's just kind of in a wait and see pattern, you know?
Of course, the internet's a flurry with rumor and what have you about Doc and what happened. But I was in stream when one of my viewers came in and we were talking about it, and he's like, dude, check this video out. And it was the last 8.5 minutes of his stream. And I stopped my stream to watch it, and I watch Dr. Disrespect a lot because it's during the daytime and it's during my work time. So I'll go out to the car and I'll throw it on, and I get a good chuckle out of whatever he's doing and kind of roll on with the punches, right? But like it didn't seem he was kind of teetering to be in character and not in character at the same time. Like it was a blurred line, and whatever's going on, I hope it gets figured out one way or another, you know?
So like I'll be honest with you, like this one kind of intrigued me because, Twitch went on and they went through into a whole banning spree. And most of it was, you know, you see everything from allegations of sexual misconduct. You would see bans basically for other like racist type stuff, you know, and then you've got Doc, and Doc, or Guy, throughout his career has been sort of like the shock jock of Twitch, right? He's the
Howard Stern, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, not quite as bad, but definitely walks the line on some of the stuff that he does, right?
Yeah.
One of the biggest differences though in this case versus the others is that we really don't know anything, you know? Like they didn't say that, you know, Twitch didn't say, you know, we can't comment on ongoing investigations. They didn't say, you know, we can't do this or that. They just strictly said, you know, here's our community guidelines.
Yeah. And the fact that it came in such close proximity time-wise to the hashtag Twitch blackout, where people were boycotting for the sexual misconduct of some Twitch streamers. It came really close to that, and so people have been speculating. But honestly, we don't know. We just don't know why.
Yeah, I went down and I was going through YouTube and looking at there's been a few good talks from attorneys that specialize in uh like content, the content creation field, I guess you'd say. And one of them, or actually a few of them, seem to think that it has more to do with a violation of Guy's personal contract with Twitch than it does any standard community
Any
guidelines
on-screen.
or any sort of like legal misconduct, right? Because normally if there was an ongoing investigation, if you had police or FBI involved, somebody would have found a warrant out there, somebody would have found something, and then legally speaking, most of the time when something like that happens, you're going to have your employer saying very specifically, we are not allowed to comment on any ongoing investigations. But Twitch never said that. Also, what these a couple of these attorneys pointed out was, a lot of these bigger streamers, a lot of the content creators on these platforms that generate the most amount of money have special contracts. So their terms of service may be different from the standard community guidelines, where they're allowed to do a little bit more, where they're allowed to, they're given provisions for different things.
Only get away with things that normal Twitch streamers or affiliate won't.
Right.
So yeah, it's got to be different, but I didn't know it was different to that extent.
Yeah, and one of them broke down some of the clauses that are in one of these contracts, where contractually, if there's disparity between the two parties, then they have to go and try remediation first. So basically what that means is, and also it has to be done under a veil. So you're not allowed to talk about it. So if there's a contract dispute, or, if something came up, we may be in that position where we won't know about it until it's all said and done. Right. So these guys in Twitch's case, apparently you have to actually go into like Los Angeles, and meet with them in order to get this, completed and to go through this remediation. So if that's the case, if there is like any sort of conflict between Guy and Twitch on the contract side, we probably won't know about it until everything's ran its course.
Yeah, you're gonna hear something when it's done, when it's all said and done, one way or another.
I think for me, like the biggest takeaway of the story was that, this came at a time when, like I said, Twitch was going through and banning a lot of people for, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but there were a lot of allegations of sexual misconduct and all this stuff. And this got me thinking about our upcoming ethics and etiquette episode that we're working on with Miss Sammazing.
No more underscore.
Right. But I don't think you see tons of people out there, and if you just go down the rabbit hole and watch people, just random people streaming, I think a lot of people get into it thinking, oh, this is super easy. I'm just gonna turn on my camera, I'm gonna hit the button, and I'm gonna stream games over the internet. And they don't stop to realize what that means, right? Because the minute you decide to do that, the minute you decide to live publicly on the internet, you're going to be under a microscope. So with that comes, I mean, let me quote Stan Lee here: with great power comes great responsibility. Hold on, Joe. I think your mic's breaking up a little bit.
It's queuing for some reason, and I don't know why. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's getting better.
Okay.
Mo better.
Yeah.
Just get up on that baby. Get up on it.
So
it's saying it's queuing for some reason.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. So like I would urge people, anybody listening to this show, definitely, if you're gonna choose to be somebody that allows others to watch them play games or talk to you or whatever, like you need to err on the side, and I don't want to say err on the side of caution, but like, you need to be better than some of these people getting banned for either racist remarks or sexual allegations, you know, sexual misconduct. Like, you can't do that, man. Like, if you're gonna be on the internet, if you want to be a content creator that people tune in and view, like, you have to be, or at least know that you're impressing yourself on other people. You know, you need to be a role model. You need to be somebody that people can look up to.
Well, that's the thing. The internet grants us a lot of anonymity. You know what I mean? That's why you get trolls on Twitter, Reddit, in-game, blah, 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 all that stuff. When you're streaming, you lose that. You lose that. And some people will still do the same things that they've done forever on the internet and say and do things that they shouldn't say, but you will get caught up. And that's the thing. That's the thing that streamers always have to keep in mind, is that there are people watching. You know what I mean? It's important.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm cognizant of it, like when I have my kids in here and things like that. Like, nobody wants to hear me discipline my kids. They definitely don't want to hear me yell at my dog for eating a shoe or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like, as soon as you turn that camera on or you turn that microphone on, you're inviting people into your private life and your private space. If you're not prepared to do that, just don't do it.
Yeah. And I think, you know, like, along with that, it's like anything you put out there in the world, like, now it's going to be searchable. People are going to be able to find it, you know. So I always say, like, you know, like, just be the best self that you can be, or be your best self that you can be. Because there's no room for that, you know.
No,
I agree.
Anyway, just my 2 thoughts.
Yeah.
But as a great segue, that episode we are working on. So ethics and etiquette in Twitch. Etiquette.
Yeah.
Just etiquette.
From both the streamer and a viewer standpoint. So
yeah,
don't be a crappy streamer and don't be a crappy viewer, basically.
exactly.
And the do's and don'ts. So recently, Fortnite had an event. Matter of fact, it had it yesterday during 4th of July. It's the We the People event, where they discussed, you know, racial disparities, so on and so forth, through the means of a video game. Now, guys, when I was writing these show notes, I for our podcast, I didn't really want to inject politics into our stream and into our YouTube channel or our podcast or whatever, but it seems like games like Fortnite, very popular, is almost forcing us to do so.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna well agree, but also disagree in a sense. Okay. I mean, so this event was a lot different. I mean, Fortnite's in Epic has been known to, like, put on concerts. Minecraft has also held concerts in game. This is the first of its kind, though, where they were making a program about, and it really, what it was just a conversation about race in America. And they made it accessible to basically the younger generation within the game, you know. And unlike their other events where there are tons of lights, there are things to interact with, there are I mean, honestly, man, like, some of their concerts that they put on, that Epic has put on, they've been cooler than actual concerts that I've been to, watching those things.
Really? Like, I haven't seen one before. I should probably check it out. Yeah.
So, like, yeah, you need to watch them. Like, technologically, like, they're pretty amazing, man. Like, the stuff that they're able to do is freaking cool. Right. This one, though, was very, very simple, and they let the program speak for itself. So if you tuned in by logging into the game, it was basically like a you know, oh gosh, like the old school, like, drive-in theaters where you just had like the big screen. It was basically like that. Like, you could just go and you could just watch. And I don't know, like, you know, like, we were talking about it earlier, and I likened it to, you know, like, putting cheese on broccoli, right, for a kid to be able to eat it. And maybe that's the wrong analogy here, but, like, for them to do that and say, hey, you know what, this is important, we want this to be accessible. I think I think it's pretty cool. It's not something that they forced on you, so it's not like it was in every game. But if you choose to be a part of it, if you choose to view it, you could go in and do that. And it was there. I mean, you didn't need cable TV or the right channels to watch. It was there in game for it.
Well, I think it's
is that the right channels, cable TV, political YouTube, Twitter, Reddit. There are plenty of avenues for this discussion. And personally, and this is really my only thought on the thing, I'd rather it not be brought into my gaming fantasy. That's it. That's the bottom line for me.
So I think that's the two sides of the coin right there, right? So while I think the conversation should be had about racial disparity or whatever the subject matter is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you have to deal with on like a real world basis. You can put it into the game if you want, but like you said, you made it accessible to people who wanted to view it. So Joe, if he doesn't want to see that and he wants to go, build some walls and shoot people, he doesn't have to see that crap, right? Personally, I wouldn't want to see it either, right? It's like going into Overwatch and next thing you know I would probably turn it off, because that's up until like what Joe said, it's a great conversation to have. I just don't want it in my gaming experience. And it's not in the gaming experience. Like you said, it's something else completely different. And I'm glad that Epic is putting an avenue out there for young people of that demographic to have the conversation. But I'm on the fence about it, 50-50, about that.
Well, I don't play Fortnite anymore, so it doesn't really affect me. But the thing is, I am interested in these conversations, so I go to outlets for these conversations.
Right.
If I were to try to log into Fortnite, and this is what was going on, I still wouldn't be forced to do it. I could quit, or I could play a different game mode or whatever. I don't think that's the issue. I think it's just we're starting to meld two different worlds, and maybe they should be kept separate from each other for multiple reasons, because there are trolls in games like Fortnite and stuff like that will use this to just amp other people up and say things they shouldn't say and blah blah blah. If you're going to watch something on the news, or you choose to click on something on YouTube, that for me, that's the way to go about it. But like I said, it didn't affect me, and I love Killer Mike, and I love the things he has to say, and so no harm, no foul.
Well, see, and I look at it from a different perspective, because I think we're old enough now that, when we are looking for that conversation, we know where to go to look, right? But I also look at it from the perspective of like the 12-year-old, the 13-year-old, the 14-year-old that are out there that don't watch the news or don't have those recommendations coming up in their YouTube. I think of the kids who are growing up without having that conversation in schools, but having it be accessible here for them. And honestly, like watching it, it didn't feel like an overarching political ad. It was really just a nice conversation about what's going on and what it sort of means,
Yeah, I mean, but if they were having a nice conversation about baking cherry pie, I also wouldn't want it in the game. You know what I mean? It's the entire idea in general. Play a game. You log on to play a game. You go on YouTube, and I mean, honestly, if you're old enough to play Fortnite, you're old enough to know what's going on in the world. Everybody knows what's going on in the world right now, and in the United States, and it's horrible, but there are already avenues for it.
I don't know, Joe. I respectfully disagree, because I think
That's fine. Yeah.
I think that like kids growing up now, like it's a different world now. Like we're used to separating everything, right? We grew up in the era where you turn to games to escape, right? But now, like, people live electronic lives, And
And they
so,
have more outlets than we did as children. We had the mainstream news. We had channel 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. They have everything. They have the world at their fingertips.
click,
All
right on
of the information of the world. All of the information in the world is available on the internet. So I think they have an advantage over us.
well,
I mean, it's possible that they may have an advantage over us, but I mean, this is a different time. So I think that we as adults, like I have 3 children, and my daughters play Overwatch, not with against anybody or that they can hear, but like if like say Overwatch had an event like that, I would be interested to see what kind of context it had and what kind of message it was sending to my preteens. You know what I mean? That's also something that needs to be taken into account regarding these events. Like, I'm sure these parents don't know this is going on, right?
It's not fair. Yeah.
I mean,
So-
I wouldn't speculate one way or the other. But
I mean, I wouldn't be upset about them having the conversation, provided that it was same in line with my own views, right?
What you're teaching your kids, yeah. Which is, I know you're teaching your kids the right thing. I mean, yeah, it's not the topic of the conversation itself. It's all of these conversations. It's just, you know what? It's new, and we might just need to get used to it. It might become a thing now, and that's fine. But it's new. Bringing any of this stuff into a means of escape. That's what video games are. They're a means of escape. And if you're bringing the real world in your means to escape, I'm inundated by the real world all the time. And sometimes all I want to do is not be for an hour or two. And that's why I play video games.
Right. So speaking of what is new, by the way, let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit and talk about Chris's brand new Overwatch MMR. Chris, can you tell us about your journey, please, in trying to convince me to rebuy the game that I've already bought once before, and then your journey from level 1 to 25 with a brand new character set, please?
Well, okay. Well, okay. So basically, I've had this theory all along with Overwatch. So for those of you listening, I started my Overwatch account in season 2, way back in the day, right after it first started. And it was one of the first games that I really started playing, one of the first FPS games that I started playing on PC, since I was younger, anyway. So this account, my old account, was like level 560 or something like that. And the thing that I can tell you about it is when I jumped into a quick play, it was completely random what I would see as far as opponents wise, right? So some games would be really great. Some games would be absolutely terrible. Some games I'd watch a diva writing her name on the wall while 6 opponents like murdered me. And some games were like, I was playing with players that were crazy good. Like you never knew what you were going to get. And because of that, like lack of consistency, it just wasn't that fun. That's one of the reasons why I didn't play it a whole lot anymore. Like that's why I always wanted to find something different. So I had this thought about MMR, matchmaking ranking.
Explain really quick what. Okay, thank you.
And basically how to reset it, how to, I thought that there had to be something different, right? Because there's tons of players that still play it that absolutely love it. And I'm like, well, there must be something up with mine. So, and I guess let me go back a little bit too. So on the other account, on my old account, when I would play comp, I would typically rank platinum or high gold, right, throughout my career. No matter what year it was, I would usually rank there, and then like the next season I would rank somewhere close to it. It never really changed. So when I saw accounts for like $15 a few weeks back, I decided to pick up a secondary account and start completely fresh just to see what would happen for science. So I did that. And in order to rank for comp, you have to reach level 25. So I started playing, and I think I started playing as tank right off the bat. And here's what I noticed. So the first 3 games that I played, I just steamrolled the other team. Whoever I was playing against, just steamrolled them. And they were usually lowbies. They were usually low level like myself. So I'm a level 1 playing with level 12s and 10s and 6s, right? Like people that have just bought in the game. And I wrecked them for about 3 games. And then after those 3 games, they started getting tighter and tighter. So the opponents I were facing were closer to my skill level than before. And I did this with tank, DPS, support, and I can tell you that right now, I could probably count on one hand out of 28 levels of Overwatch. I can count on one hand the number of bad games that I've gotten into, which is a whole lot different than my old account. This new account, the consistency is so much better that I actually love playing Overwatch again, like even just in quick play. And that's surprising. It's really surprising.
So, okay, so what this sounds like to me already is that there's almost an internal MMR just even for quick play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there always was.
Right, but like, you went in there and you said, okay, I went and played 3 games of tank and I murdered him. I went after him, went for the throat, and then they started pairing me up against players who were my skill level. So that being said, which games, because I'm sure you did like 3 games of like tank and 3 games of DPS and like 3 games of healer to kind of see where it ended up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so which games did you find to be more challenging versus not as challenging at that low level?
Wait, what do you mean?
Like you said, you went in as tank and you rolled face.
Well, yeah,
right?
So I mean, really, like what I did is like I'd play for a couple hours as tank, and then I'd swap over and do a couple hours as DPS, and then I'd swap over and do a couple hours as support. But no matter what, the first 3 games or the first 2 or 3 games that I played in each of those different categories, it was about the same, right? So I was playing with players that were closer to like my actual level instead of skill based. And so for the first couple of games I played as DPS, like, we wrecked them like real quick. The first couple of games I played as support, same thing. And then it's like the MMR swapped over. And after that, I was playing with players that were closer to my skill level. So
Okay.
it made the game feel a whole lot more consistent than it did before.
So how long do you think it took you to get from 1 to 25 to be able to qualify?
I mean, oh gosh,
in game time.
I have no idea.
So okay,
so let me think about this, right? Because I streamed.
You did a 12-hour stream and you Overwatched only for 12 hours.
Oh, that's right, I did. That's a good point. So maybe 20 hours of game time, somewhere around there.
20 hours of game time.
Or 18 hours of game time.
That's a lot of time.
I know.
People beat full games in 20 hours. That's
dude,
not crazy.
I honestly don't remember, man. I just remember, like, I know I streamed. Okay, so I streamed that day for 12 hours on that account, and then I had maybe like a couple of other streams, like 3 hours a piece. So somewhere close to 20 hours, maybe.
Okay. What were your expectations going into this MMR reset? Like, what did you think?
Honestly,
you were going to do? What was your hypothesis going into it?
So my hypothesis going into it was that because I sucked really bad when I first started playing the game, that had a negative impact on my playing and my performance now. So originally I thought that if I opened up a new account and like my accuracies were increased, my kill to death ratio was increased, I thought that that would all have an effect. And I mean, realistically, I think it did.
Okay, so when you, well, give me a ballpark of what your expectations were as far as your rank was concerned for all three, for
So
tank, DPS, and healing, and then where it ended up at.
so comp wise, in the competitive queue, in the competitive play, I really didn't know. I just know that okay, so in my old account, when I would qualify at gold or even low platinum, I just know that the games in those levels were largely bad. I mean, it never felt like I belonged there because like man, it's hard to say this, like you just get into these bad games where you're either getting rolled or you're rolling other teams, but the consistency is just not there. And I think that what that means is people are mismatched. So for me, I really didn't know. As far as the competition wise, I didn't really have expectations for anything. Like I kind of felt like I would just get plat in all categories, which is a little like middle of the road, you know. When I qualified, I qualified as tank. Something weird happened when I went into qualification as tank. When I went into tank, the games were really bad, worse than when I would queue into quick play as a tank. The quick play games actually felt better than the games I went into the competitive queue with. When I came out of that, I ended up at like high gold, I think, in tank. 2300 maybe or something like that. Like just shy of platinum, but definitely like those games didn't feel good at all. Now, when I went in and queued to support, those games, all of those games felt like the quick play games. They were all very consistent across the board. They were all really tough, like really like evenly matched. And I got like 2800. So I was just 2880 or something like that. So I was just like 100 points shy of diamond on my queue for that. And then DPS, I honestly, because I did it so late in the season, there were only a couple of days left to do it. I didn't DPS.
Have you done your qualification matches for the new season yet, season 23?
No, because those just started on Friday, and I've been playing Apex. I mean, realistically, I didn't. Oh, like here's the thing. Like I know that they started on Friday, but I just didn't do it.
Okay. Okay. Is this your new main account going forward? Are you gonna scrap the old 500 and summon level for for this new one?
Don't do that.
Like I'm gonna be honest with you, because the games even in quick play are so good. Absolutely.
This is your new competitive account.
Absolutely. Going forward, I will be comping on this account, and I will be like, well, even just playing in quick play, like I will be playing on this account.
Just throwing it all away again. It's like my Minecraft dungeons all over again, man. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like it's rough, like getting rid of all the skins and stuff that you've collected over the years, but the games are just that much better after completely resetting everything. Like, here's what I think. I think that you should have a stat clearing button in Overwatch. So if you've been playing,
we've talked about this before, have we not?
I know, but you know, instead of having to buy a separate account and start all over again, I think you should be able to go in there or request it from Blizzard, like just reset all my stats, right? Just go through from the beginning of time from when I've had this account and just reset everything. Zero them all out. Let me start back up from scratch. Let me play with my basically like my peers. don't put me in this round robin like nonsense of good game, crappy game, good game, crappy game, because it doesn't feel good. I complained about this for years, and like if I had known that just starting up another account and resetting my MMR would make the game feel like the best game I've ever played again, I would have done this long ago, hands down.
Well, I mean, you did the science for me. Remember we had that conversation. So your expectations moving forward.
Well, I mean, they are what they are now. I'm hopeful that the gameplay and the consistency stays at this level across the board. I mean, that's really the only expectation I have, and it's a hope. Really, it's not even an expectation. It's a hope. Like, so I don't want it to go back to the way that the old account felt, because those games were terrible.
Joe?
I'm just interested. I've just been listening. I don't know if I have any particular questions. I was actually interested in this experiment from the start. I wanted to see what happened, and I think it sucks that that's what you had to do, but I'm glad that you got there. You know what I mean? Because I know how much you like the game. You've played more of that game than any of us. You had something like 300 levels before we switched to PC. So, I don't know. I hope, Blizzard takes note of things like this. They haven't so far, but I mean, you're right. And I don't know what would have to go into creating like a stat reset button, but and it might be the kind of thing that, it's like you got to tell it to do it, and then you got to say, are you sure? And then like, are you really, really sure? And it's like, yes, but if you want to do that, you shouldn't have to pay $15, and that's a good deal to start a whole new account and level back up to 25. If you're just looking for a clean experience, I think that should come with what you've already paid for.
Shit, I'd pay $15 just for a stat reset and I have to re-level over and over and over again.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I mean. You know what I mean? That's at $15 isn't a bad deal, but you shouldn't have to pay for that. If that's the experience you're looking for, you should get it.
No,
it's not too much out of the realm of possibility.
And my thinking is that like this should be a thing like every few months. Like in order to and I don't know what that would mean like on their side of things, on Blizzard's side of things, but what it would feel like from a player perspective is that the game always knew or would know where you are at skill wise. So as your skills either improve or deteriorate, then so does the people that you're playing against. So you're more evenly matched and in more consistent games for the duration of your play.
Yeah, that's why I was super interested in this test, because I wasn't sure exactly how they went about it, and so I was interested to see if there was a clear answer to the question. Basically, like, does it make a difference? And it seems like there is. So I'm not happy. I'm happy for you. I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy that that's the answer, but at the same time, it's good to know, I guess. You know what I mean?
Well, it just gives a little bit more justification behind my hour-long rant.
Pretty much.
A few months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah. But that's pretty much all I got. Joey, anything else at all before we move on to the next thing?
No, honestly, Chris, thank you for doing that. You answered questions that I had, and I will keep that in mind moving forward with my experience with the game.
Yeah. So should we break to Destiny 2 now?
Oh man.
So
this is another thing that I'm going to have a lot of listening to do. Because I'm super stoked for it, and Jerry, you know a little bit more about it than I do.
So Jerry's been playing a lot of Destiny 2 lately. I haven't touched the game.
I just got it all set up.
I haven't touched the game since launch, and like I think we played it for like a month or maybe 2.
Well, we played it with some of your WoW buddies and we basically went to the Leviathan raid and got murked. And we were like, screw this game. This game sucks.
We had a hard time getting through.
We had a hard time with it. I remember. I forget what their names were, but yeah, it kind of sucked. But Destiny 2, let me tell you right now, the shooting feels pretty damn good. Like, it's so smooth and rewarding when you hit certain shots and so on and so forth. Every one of the weapons feels fantastic. So I decided to download it again and go through what seemed to be a 15-step process, because it used to be on the Blizzard launcher, and they took it off for whatever reason. Bungie and Blizzard, Activision, yeah, whatever. They took it off, and so I went to Steam and downloaded it for free, and it was okay. Do the merging thing. It wasn't difficult, but it was still a pain in the ass to have to do that. But at least I have all my stuff, right? I ended up starting a new character anyway, so it's whatever. But they do have a new X-Pack coming out called Beyond Light. It's going to be released on September 22nd. It's going to feature some new weapons. The new planet Europa, which is basically an ice planet, and so every character has solar, arc, or void like powers. You know what I mean? You can kind of change within them whatever spec you want to play, but they're introducing the new power darkness. So I'm kind of see where that plays in. But to do Destiny 2, I'm telling you, man, like when I was going through this episode, and I was like, okay, like this game was something that like we all played, and we all played it hard, like hard, like 5-6 hours a day hard until we were able to raid. That's what you do with World of Warcraft. You play that thing hard as hell until you are geared up, ready to go. Well, we walked into Leviathan the first time around and got just smacked around. It didn't feel good. And it didn't seem like it was rewarding there. So now, whenever you start a character, you get an immediate power level 750, which is higher than when we left. So it's like walking into WoW with a level 90 right now.
What your light level is right now, Jer?
My light level on my warlock is 1007, and my hunter is like 950 or something like that.
Okay, so I'm with my warlock, I'm right about where your hunter is, so I should be able to keep up with you guys.
Yeah, but the people who are up in like the 1050 ranges, those guys are Billy badasses, like big time. Like they go in and they just wipe Nightfalls, like you just one person roll through. But I'm super satisfied with the gameplay and my experience while coming back. I saw that, Sam was streaming it and playing it, and P Stabs was playing it, and Random was playing it. So I was like, let me give this thing another shot. Juan said Panda was playing it, so let me give this thing another shot, and it felt really, really good. And the fact that it's free is even better. I don't have to buy the damn thing again.
So like what else? So since we left, like what else is there to do in the game?
So I'm going to be quite honest with you. Like I felt lost when I logged back into the game the first time. Like I kind of knew like the gist, right? But like I didn't feel comfortable at all playing the game until like hour 4 or 5 when I could finally figure it out again, right? So the one thing that they don't do a very good job at is explaining to you. I need to turn the light on here. It's getting really dark. Is explain to you weapon upgrades and things like that, and like modules on stuff. There's no like tutorial. There's none of that, and it's sort of frustrating as a player jumping back into it. And even if I was a new player and had never played the game before, I would be so freaking lost. All I would know is that, hey, there's a weapon and it has this much power to it, and it's a submachine gun versus a pulse rifle or a fusion rifle or a sidearm or a hand cannon or whatever. Like, it's really difficult to figure out the whole armor and weapons upgrade when you jump into it right away. So, I mean, the instances or the nightfalls, all of the planned instances, like a dungeon, feel really really smooth. I went back and requested through a lot of the areas to get my light level up on my warlock. It felt great going back in and playing those again. So for those of you,
are there still like world events that happen every so often?
Matter of fact, you have to farm the crap out of one of them on IO, in order to get some gear, and those guys are like power level 1000. Those enemies, you go in there and you're like, I'm just here to get killed a bunch and hopefully pick up some gear. Like, if you feel bad because you're like, you shoot these guys immune, you're like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna die a lot. So they have
aspect to it is, or the grind aspect to it is, I've always enjoyed it on Destiny.
Yeah, they have a multiplayer thing called the Gambit. The Gambit, yeah. So basically, where it's PvE and PvP. So what it is that you have PvE enemies that drop these motes that you have to deposit into a bank, and each like at 25, then you go. You say it's called a blocker. Like, it spawns extra hard PvE enemies at the enemy base, and one of your players can go through a porthole and kill them at the same time. So like, it mixes the two play styles together. It takes a little bit to getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's a lot of fun. Like, once you get in the rhythm and you have a group of 6 people that you're going in there, or 5 people, I forget how many people it is, but I think it might be 4. And at the end, once you deposit so many motes, you have basically a world boss that you got to beat. And every single time that the enemy team goes through a porthole while you're killing the enemy boss and kills somebody, it heals the enemy boss a little bit. So it's not like you get in there like going into Gruul's and World of Warcraft and just DPSing the guy down. It doesn't work that way. You still have to have an idea that, hey, like, the enemy team might come in. If they kill you, it's going to heal the boss and just take that much longer. So that's a pretty cool thing. PvP felt in Crucible felt really, really good. There's some other new game modes that I haven't been able to play yet, but I'm looking forward to getting into that. And I'm looking forward to Chris actually playing it with us.
Oh my God.
Get down.
Man, like,
yeah,
that's the one thing that I really had high hopes for earlier when we were playing it at the start, was the PvP. And like, I'll be honest with you, like, I think that's one of the reasons why I stopped playing the game, is it just didn't, like, the PvP just wasn't there. Like, it didn't feel good. So I see more and more people playing it now. So maybe there have been improvements, since then. But yeah, that was a big thing for me.
Well, they don't matchmake very well in the PvP. That's sort of like the big problem, right? Like, so like, if you go into like the Crucible and you're playing, node capture or whatever, like, you're getting thrown in there with people with like 1058 power level. They're like level capped as like a 950, and you just get smoked. But you have to know you're going in there to get gear and not win, because you get gear drops at the end of the game, right? And each one of the quest givers, like for the Crucible and each areas, they have bounties that you can get gear from as well. So if you complete the bounties and you level up, it gives you a high level Ingram that can help you level up even faster. It's the way the current questing and the current drop system is based to get you at max light level as fast as you possibly can and still enjoy the game. Like, I've found myself going in and requesting just to kind of check it out. Like, there's certain areas that I haven't been through in a long, long time, and I was perfectly fine with that. So,
and that's the thing, now that I got it all set up, when I saw you and Wyatt playing earlier, that's what I'm going to do. I hope that we can play together soon. I'm going to be playing later, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Get some.
Yeah, it's just a fun game. It's the shooting in that game has always felt really, really good to me versus some other games.
I agree.
So, I've also found that once I play that game and I go play Apex or another shooter, I'm way better at hitting my targets, and I don't know why. Yeah, maybe you should. Yeah, it's better than the aim trainer, I guess. I don't know, because you have to move, because some of those enemies they teleport back and forth, so you have to be able to move to the target relatively quickly and hit headshots. So headshots are rewarded in that game pretty well, I think. So,
All right.
but yeah, that's pretty much what I got for Destiny. Again, Beyond Light coming out September 22nd. Pick it up and we'll play.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, let's move on to another game that I know you guys have been having some fun with. Let's talk Wreckfest. So, like, I know that I think the first time I ever saw this, it was with Wyatt playing it. When I was tuning into him, and I know you guys jumped on it. I didn't realize that this game came out like a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
So Wreckfest debuted in 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
And
2018.
it almost didn't happen. This is a game that the Kickstarter for it failed. They were trying to crowdsource funds for it. And it's basically it's banger racing and demolition derby style.
I love it.
So much. I've sunk like at least, I don't know, at least 12 hours into it the last 3 days. Like,
yeah, it's, you get in there and it's the very first mission on the campaign is get in a freaking lawnmower and demolition derby. Come on, man. If that's not some hillbilly stuff, I don't know what is. So, but yeah, it feels like you're Dukes of Hazzard racing every time. My kids love playing it, surprisingly.
yeah, it's good. It's racing, but it's also the demolition derby. And another good thing about it, I like racing games so long as they have a customization feature where you can add more to the car, you can choose the colors of the car, you can choose what goes on the car and stuff like that. Straight up racing sims, they kind of get boring after a while because there is none of that. You can get creative in these games and go out there with like a neon green car like I do. And you'll bang into other things, you'll bang into guardrails, you'll bang into other people, you just bang in stuff left and right. And your fender will come off, your hubcap might come off, you know what I mean? The tailgate, or not the tailgate, but the bumpers come off, you know what I mean? It's realistic damage. It's more realistic damage than a lot of racing games. And yeah, it's just enjoyable. You know, it's one of those things that you can just vibe to. It doesn't take too much thought. You're in it for the race and to, you know, hurt other people, and that's what you do.
It's so much fun. It's such a stress reliever too. Like,
That's what I mean. Yeah.
yeah, like one night, Zoe and Paige walked in there and they're like, "Dad, what are you playing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm playing Wreckfest. It's a racing game where like you crash into other cars." They're like, "No way." I was like, "Yeah, you want to play?" And I handed them my Xbox Elite controller and they're like, "Okay." I said, "Okay, Zoe, this is gas, brake, da da da." And once she started figuring it out, and I had them do it on the track where it's like kind of like a figure eight, but when you jump over the cars that are. And dude, they had some nasty ass wrecks. And after a while, like I just got up and walked out, and like me and Jen stood at my double doors back here just watching the kids play. Which Zoe jumps off the jump and just lands like head on another car, and both girls are like, "Whoa, that was crazy!" It has a lot of entertainment value. You're like, "Oh man, I messed up that car big time." Chris, you definitely should pick up Wreckfest.
Just wait until you're trying to teach one of them how to drive, and they just like slam into something like this, right, Dad?
Yeah, that's right. GTA style, big time. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Again, like I had gotten Wreckfest probably in some flash sale, like in late 18 or something like that. I picked it up and I saw Riot playing it, and I was like, dude, he's like, you should get this game. I'm like, I have it. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, I haven't played it in. And I looked on there, it was like a year and a half or something like that. He's like, dude, just download it and let's play. I was like, all right, cool. It was like 20 gigs or something like that. And honestly, it's a lot of fun, man.
I saw Wyatt streaming it at first too. I didn't even know about it. I'd never even heard about it. Like you said, there wasn't much fanfare. And I saw him and I was like, dude, if I get this, we got to play this together. And he's like, I'm down, dude. And I mentioned it to you and you said, dude, I have it. I just haven't played it. And I was like, oh God, we're going to fucking ruin each other.
We're going to go at it.
We're going to go hard, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a solid game. Right now, I think it's on sale for $15.99, down from $40 on Steam. So if you got $16, pick it up.
Yeah, especially in Steam doing the Steam points nowadays. So I mean, yeah. Well, you got anything else for us, Chris?
Actually, yeah, I do. Joe, Every week.
Yeah.
Every week you have a segment, and that segment is called.
I just sharded.
We couldn't hear
Wait,
you.
yeah, nope.
It ruined it. I just sharded. I sharded. I sharded. This mic, man, it's killing me. I don't know what
Oh
is
my
wrong with it.
God.
It cuts. It's Discord. It's only Discord. It only cuts out in Discord. Anyway, MCD Minecraft Dungeon Jungle Awakens DLC is now live. If you have the MCD Standard, the 1999 one, you will have to pay $7.99 for the DLC. If you have the Hero Edition, which is $29.99, don't worry about it. You got another one on the way for free too. It's pretty fun. I checked it out. It's not a huge amount of content, but it's good. As stated in the last episode, Hue is free on the Epic Store until the 9th. So get on that. Next week, from the 9th to the 16th, it'll be Killing Floor 2, Lifeless Planet, Premier Edition, The Escapists 2. All three of those are solid games. The Steam Summer Sale is still going on until the 9th, so get those games that are gathering dust in your wish list. Like I said, Wreckfest, $15.99, get on it. As always, check the Humble Bundle also for really good deals. They got a bunch of deals going on right now. Let's see, what else do we got here? If you are an Xbox gamer, the Summer Game Fest demo event will allow you to play 75 to 100 demos for free, upcoming games from July 21st to the 27th. Games like Destroy All Humans, Haven, Hellpoint, Skatebird, Welcome to Elk, and Chris Tales. So
Was that because
now,
they couldn't have their convention or whatever it is?
yes, that was because they weren't able to have an in-person convention. I believe that's what it was hinted at. Couple cool shows coming up to close this out. So both of these I'm really excited for. Amazon Studios has a Fallout television show in the works titled simply Fallout. The show is headed by Westworld creators Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy. Bethesda's Todd Howard and James Ullman will be executive producers. My friend Pedro is also getting a show. If you haven't played that game, it's great and it's not very expensive. It's an amazing platforming shooter, and it's going to be created by the dudes that created a little movie called John Wick. I honestly couldn't
You
think
may have heard of it.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anybody who'd do a better job. Maybe the Wachowski brothers that did The Matrix would do, but it's going to be amazing. So keep your eyes open for those. That's all from me. This has been I Just Sharded. Guys?
All
I
right.
wish I would have hit. I wish it would have hit on the front, dude. That sucks.
It hit the second time, man. You know what I think it is? You probably have your the gate set a little bit high in Discord. That might be what it is. It wouldn't be a bitrate stream unless there was some sort of technical difficulty or some screen not working or something like that. So,
Yeah, I've been checking with it the
whatever.
entire stream, and sometimes my mic is queuing for no reason, and then sometimes I cut out. So I don't know. I'll have to try to figure it out. Anyway, back to you guys.
That's
Thank
fantastic. Well, so after Joey's I Just Sharded segment, we haven't done this before, but I think it would be very important because both Chris and I had hit personal goals recently, and we wanted to talk about we wanted to start talking about our personal stream journeys over the last few weeks here and there. So, Chris, I mean, you recently hit affiliate, and how was those first couple streams after hitting affiliate? Because we both did 12-hour streams that next day. Yeah, let us know how things have been going for you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think things have been going pretty well. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Yeah, hit affiliate. The next day, ended up doing a 12-hour stream just for fun, I guess.
You went longer than 12. I think you went 15.
Oh yeah, I think I did. And I think I was playing Overwatch for a long time. Like, I don't even remember. Dude, honestly, I don't even remember. But yeah, it's been fun.
Haze.
Man, it has been, man. It's been a lot of fun. Just still trying new stuff out, working on the stream, working on the stuff within the stream. So learning how to make emotes and sub badges and all that kind of stuff. So the rabbit hole's been a little bit different in terms of that kind of stuff for me than it is usually. Like I'm looking at, how to set up scenes, how to like, I'm looking at placement of different things. So it's been fun though. I mean, how about you?
So I leaned on Sam quite a bit early on, about how to not only to improve my stream, but who I was as a streamer, and she helped out quite a bit with me bringing that message through. You know what I mean? Like, and the reason why we had her on was for her to tell her story, and I think that all of us want to tell our story. And Chris was absolutely right. Hitting affiliate is the first bump in the road, but now you hit the mountain to partner, right? So the things that you got to do to hit partner, you might as well halfway through that, you got to nearly become a full-time streamer in order to do that. Not to say that it's not impossible, but holy cannoli, man. I hit affiliate about 3 weeks ago, and the community that has been hanging out my channel quite a bit, Aki and Bad Honey, have been fantastic and kept me going when I needed it the most. And when sometimes when it's real quiet, they'll ask me or they'll say something crazy to kind of get me perked up. I think the other night we were playing Astroneer, and I may or may not have been having one too many White Claws, and I was like, all right, guys, name your top 3 80s films. And I think Shaba or Joey was in the channel as well. He's like, oh, geez, you're going to hit me with that. There's so many. There's so many. Like, where do you even start? Chris, what's your top 3 80s films? So you can't do it.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Top Gun.
Okay.
Goonies.
Goonies, we didn't even, dude. That's one of my favorites. Those three got 3 isn't enough, dude.
No,
so I mean, people
really
are
isn't.
like, "What's your favorite thing? What's your favorite 3 things?" It's like, dude, I don't have a favorite 3 things. I have like a million favorite things.
Yeah, that's true. Like I had to think about that for a second. Like Top Gun's probably my go-to Tom Cruise movie. You have to have a Tom Cruise movie in there. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is just one that like I could watch that freaking movie. It could come on TBS 1,000 times a week. And if I'm like
wondering how I ended up this way.
Yeah, dude, if I'm like scrolling through it and I see it on there, like I'm gonna watch it, man. And then dude, Goonies, like you can't not love the Goonies.
No. It's like, what's the score? Nothing. Right. Who's winning? The Bears. Right. Watching the Cubs game, I was like, oh, all right, that's funny. Yeah, so I mean, my stream, I have not been able to stream as much as I wanted to recently. My work schedule's kind of been a little bit crazy. So for those of you that are listening that are a part of my community, I apologize. As soon as I'm able to hit a regular stream schedule and this government job gets out of my way, I'll be there for you, man. I'll be there for you. So what about you, Joe? What are we expecting on seeing you back on a schedule, and what's it going to take for you?
On a schedule, I'm really trying my hardest. I always have a lot going on IRL, but I don't know. Let's just put something solid down. What's today? Sunday? Either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll at least get on for a couple hours. All right.
There we go.
So we got to figure out something we're gonna do.
Well, I work next week, so.
Well, then forget it.
Well, then screw it. It's out. It's out.
No,
we're not doing it.
And I will try to get back to a schedule as soon as possible. It was kind of rough before we started the podcast, and now with the podcast, there's added work. Not saying that I couldn't add streaming into it. It's just sometimes I'm a little too tired or whatever. So I'm just gonna get on it. Thank you for asking, though, Jeremy. I knew you were gonna do that.
You're welcome. I've been bugging Joe about getting back into the streaming groove. He was a big catalyst when COVID hit for me and Chris to get our butts in gear and get going. He's like, and whenever we thought we weren't going to make an affiliate because we're hanging out with like 1, maybe 2 viewers in the stream and just think we couldn't crack the code, Joe's like, don't worry, man, dude, you're going to be there. You'll get there. Don't worry. In any day. So he was a big motivator for Chris and I to get where we are now.
One of those do as I say, not as I do type people.
It's okay. That's okay. Well, I'll tell you one person who is killing the game right now. And that's our streamer of I hate to say streamer of the week, but like
Marine mammal.
what do we want to call this? Streamer, our suggested streamer of the cast. I don't know. I don't have a title for it. Chris, hit me with it right now. You're really witty and quick-witted for this.
Yeah.
How do we announce Red
Let's
Seal?
go with streamer of the cast, streamer of the day, streamer of the week. The award today.
Streamer of my heart.
Streamer of Joe's heart. That's gonna be. Hey, look. That's gonna be the show title.
Streamer of my heart.
Streamer of my
Streamer
heart.
of my heart.
No.
And that honor goes to Mr. Red Seal.
It's a marine mammal.
Let's get a a clap of the hands going right here.
Or.
Yeah, there
You
we
gotta
go.
do it like a seal.
So, for those of you who are uninitiated, Mr. Red Seal has one of the coolest production setups I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Solid.
it's solid. Look, I don't know if there's a way for me to describe what he does and how he does it, other than you just need to go to his channel and you need to check him out. And you can usually find him doing some RP, some Red Dead 2 RP, right?
That's pretty much what he's going after pretty hard. And he's put a lot of work into the characters that he's built. He has 2 that he does right now. And the backstories, and he RPs them perfectly. Watching his RP streams it's not just watching Red Dead. It's like you're watching a story.
So
it's
it's different. It's role playing set in basically a different type of online server. So you actually get on, you choose a character, you make your character, you give it. It's like basically D&D in Red Dead. Like you make a character, you got a job, you do this, and you act the character. You're not just you act like you're really them.
It's
role playing.
It's super entertaining. But
it's very
also
immersive.
But yeah, it's very immersive. And then as far as his interaction with chat, like he's got some of the coolest channel point rewards. He's got some of the coolest production around chat interaction. I mean, it's kind of like I remember the first stream that I was there. It was kind of like being on a game show, man.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're part of it, which is really cool.
It's so smooth. He's worked it to a honed edge. You know what I mean? Like it's just like everything goes off the proper time. This happens, and it always keeps you on the edge of your seat. You know what I mean? Because you don't always know what's happening next, but it happens, and it happens really smoothly.
There's a part of his stream, like whenever he goes into breaks into story time, he doesn't do as much anymore than he used to, but he had he uses a green screen. Okay, so everything is green screen, which is perfectly fine. But he breaks into this fireside chat, and behind him is this roaring fire and this large leather couch. And what's the guy from Parks and Rec, the kind of the weird guy, the manager, with the comedian guy?
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but
anyway, he has his body sitting in a chair with like a whiskey tumbler, and it's animated. It's like moving and stuff like that, but his face is green screened on where that face is, and he sits there and does story time with Red Seal using certain things. Like it's pretty incredible, and we're hoping to have him on and release an episode of a Red Seal only interview like we did with Sam sometime in the early part of next month, as we're really looking forward to that one. So we got some cool stuff coming up for you guys. I mean, we basically told you everything we're gonna do.
Yeah, so we'll definitely put his link down in the description below. So if you get a chance, throw him a follow, and then just one night, if you're cruising Twitch looking for something to watch or you can't find anything, go to Red Seal stream and I promise you won't be disappointed. It's great.
It's fantastic. I actually look forward to his streams. Do it.
All right. Well, I think that does it for us tonight. Unless you guys,
don't do it.
You guys have anything else to add? All right. Well,
nope.
What's going on this week, Joe? Other than possibly
Tuesday or
streaming on
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday. Expect the produced video on YouTube midweek, Wednesday, hopefully. And stay cool.
Nice.
So cool, bro.
You know who you are.
All right, Jer.
You know. I'm working swings this week, so I won't be back until the latter part of the weekend. I'm actually pretty jam packed with some of my art stuff. So I'm gonna throw some day streams in. I think I'm gonna kind of change it up a little bit. So I know a lot of my community is not on during the day. I'm a late night streamer, so I gotta make the effort in, man. So I'll be there for you guys one way or another.
Cool deal. Cool deal. All right. Well, as always, you'll find me Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, in the weekends. So, I mean, I try to keep my schedule as best as possible.
Tuesdays, Wednesday is his date nights, guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
He goes on dates those nights.
Or, you know.
I'm gonna say what I was gonna say something I'm not going to.
All right.
Oh, no.
So that'll be it for this episode of Bitrate.
Just cut it off before he gets in trouble now.
Stay tuned. We get like Jared was saying, guys, we have some great interviews coming up, some great special episodes. Stay tuned for those. And you know, if you can, throw us a like, throw us a good review on Apple Podcasts. It helps people find us. And we would appreciate it.
Very much so.
All right. That's it for us. Links in the descriptions. Good night, gamers.
Night.